Sometimes we fall for a hype train, and I'm guilty of that in this case. I reviewed this book for members and Patreons, but let's look back at some of the best and worst of 2024. Let's look at The Four, a book that promised so much but failed to deliver. Now, if you're interested in more book content, please check out my Patreon or consider becoming a member to this channel. Like, subscribe, and share this video, and tell me what you think in the comments below. But let's start the show. There are many books which divide opinion. There are countless books that I've read, and The Four seems to have divided opinions. Some people call it the greatest thing since sliced bread, and made it their entire personalities, and other people, like myself, have found it disappointing. Billed as a literary marvel, hailed by some early press as the next Secret History by Donna Tartt, this novel arrived on a tidal wave of hype. But for me, instead of delivering a masterpiece, The Four sank beneath the weight of its lofty promises, and it emerged as this shallow shell of what could have been. Now, we need to address the elephant in the room, the comparison to Donna Tartt's Secret History. That book is iconic for many reasons, and the claim that it's even close is ridiculous. One that The Four fails to live up to in almost every possible way. Where Donna Tartt's poise is a masterclass in eloquence and restraint, this book feels clumsy, overly simplistic, riddled with the kind of bloated dialogue you might find in a young adult fantasy novel, or worse yet, a romantasy. Tartt's work resonates because her characters and their world are so deeply realised, while The Four struggles to scratch the surface of its premise, which is a shame. There is potential here, but none of it was used. The story follows a group of four friends whose lives become entangled in secrets and betrayal, promising a thrilling, morally complex tale, yet the execution is painfully shallow. The characters, central to any narrative, especially one that claims to explore the depths of human relationships, are flat, one-dimensional archetypes rather than richly textured personalities we might expect from a novel of this supposed caliber. Unlike the morally ambiguous characters and hauntingly enigmatic characters of the Secret History, the protagonists in The Four are like cardboard cutouts, cobbled together from overused tropes in dark academia. And speaking of dark academia, The Four leans heavily on the aesthetic of the genre. Dusty libraries, ice-covered campuses, and Latin phrases just bounced around. But those elements are little more than window dressing. There's no real exploration of the intelligence or emotional depths that define the genre. Instead, the book skims along the surface, delivering just enough to fit in neatly into that box, but never enough to create an atmosphere or lasting impact. It feels like an Instagram filter applied to a story rather than exploration of the themes of dark academia, ambition, privilege, and the pursuit of knowledge at all costs. And some parts of this book just descend into let's torture the main character for no apparent reason. The writing itself is another major stumbling block. At times it feels as if the author is trying to mimic the lyrical quality of Tartt's poise, but misses the mark entirely. Heavy-handed metaphors, overly dramatic inner monologues bog down the narrative. While the dialogue often feels unnatural and frankly cringeworthy in parts, for a book that was marketed as literary fiction, the quality of the poise is shockingly bad. More reminiscent of young adult debut than a serious contender for critical acclaim. Pacing doesn't help matters either. The Four just kind of rambles on through this plot, often feeling aimless and unfocused. Moments that should be shocking or emotionally impactful fall flat because they're either telegraphed far in advance or lack a build-up needed to make them land. The twists are predictable, the stakes feel inconsequential, and the resolution is completely underwhelming. One of the most frustrating aspects in The Four is how much potential it squandered. The premise, a tightly knit group of friends bound by dark secrets, is undeniably compelling. In more capable hands, this could have been a gripping exploration of the fragility of human connections and the lengths people go to protect themselves. Instead, it feels like a missed opportunity, a story that constantly reaches for greatness but never quite gets there. Climbing a mountain without a ladder is the whole vibe. The hype machine behind this book did not do it any favours, and that's why I'm talking about The Secret Histories by Donna Tartt so much. It was framed as a spiritual successor to said book. The marketing set it up for inevitable comparisons that only highlight its shortcomings. Tartt's novel is a timeless masterpiece, rich in atmosphere, intelligent, and psychologically complex. To even suggest that The Four belongs in this same conversation is almost laughable, and frankly a little insulting to readers who expected more like myself. At its core, The Four is a study case in style over substance. It's a novel that tried to hide its flaws behind a vignette of trendiness. Yes, I'm old enough to say that now. Relying on the aesthetic appeal of dark academia rather than crafting a story that truly resonated. If you're looking for a book that captures the essence that makes dark academia so compelling, you're better off revisiting The Secret History or exploring some of the lesser known gems in the genre. In the end, The Four is a disappointing addition to the literary landscape of 2024. The book that promised the world and delivered a pale imitation. Whether it's the clumsy writing, the lackluster characters, or the predictable plot, there's little here to recommend. If nothing else, it serves as a reminder that hype is no substitute for quality. Save yourself frustration and pick up something else, because life is too short for books that leave you wishing you hadn't bothered.